Hi everyone, I hope you're well. This is CoinsKid. I'm just going to dive into Bitcoin once again. Thank you for your support. Okay, so right now Bitcoin didn't quite come down to our target, but on the daily, you're actually wicking down onto the 20. Look at that. And like I said to you, you know, when you come up in these impulsive waves and you fall back to the daily 20 in May as support, this is golden. Okay, so this is where you found support. And in the minute, the technical targets to the downside are just not being met for Bitcoin because this is how strong it was. You did yesterday, I think a couple of days ago, you've fallen out of a double M top pattern and an ascending triangle, and the whole way up here Bitcoin has never met one fall down target. One technical target to the downside has not ever been met out of any patterns. That for me is relatively bullish. You're breaking up on the fibs, you're meeting the fibs spot on 1618 and you're retracing to key level support. It's really, really bullish. There are levels of resistance above. There are a couple of trend lines that I've noticed here for Bitcoin, but the breakdown targets are not necessarily being met at the moment. So that is bullish, and it's breaking up. It's creating things called throwbacks. Okay, we're gonna have a look at that in a minute. But yeah, I mean, it just signifies that the trend is really, really strong, which is what I've been trying to tell you. Unless we start to lose support and lose key levels of support, which I've shown you, this green trend line, okay, we start to fall back into that. That is very negative. You know, I've told you about that numerous times because you're falling back into a falling wedge right there, which eventually we'll find a low in that and break out of it. But at the minute, you have broken out of it already, and you're already coming up to the technical target, which is here and here. Okay, there are a couple of trend lines here that I've noticed. Now, if you remember, you've been a follower of the channel for a while, there was this massive head and shoulders pattern played out, and this is why I was able to give you the target just here. Do you see this? I gave you this technical target of a head and shoulders pattern way back in, I think it was May, when we formed this head and shoulders. We lost this key level support, and at that point I did say to you, look, Bitcoin is going to come down to this technical target, and boom, look, it did. And that was a whopping short. Okay, a lot of people, I got a lot of messages about that particular short, and that was a fantastic trade for those that listened and paid attention. But again, not financial advice. Nothing I say on the channel is financial advice. So you can see effectively there's a couple of head and shoulders patterns here. Look, you've got trend lines, which I'm going to show you, because right now you've broken up above this previous resistance, look, of this trend line. Look, support, you lost it, you came down, you made a low, you built momentum, you created a reversal pattern, okay, in a massive falling wedge, and right now you've broken above this level of resistance and you are holding it as support. Look at that, that's good. Okay, that's good. And you're above the daily 20 as well, so you're back above this trend line, which was a previous level of support which you lost and had a capitulation just there. Okay, there is equally another trend line here that is really keen interest to me. So just here, look, you created this level of resistance, but then you broke it. Okay, when you broke it, you created another trend line. It's all trend lines, okay, and people say trend lines are rubbish, but they are actually, traders adhere to them. They're drawing them in the charts, and they're targeting these. Okay, and this is why you see resistance and support. And once resistance is broken, and backtesting support continuation. Once resistance is lost, and support is lost, sorry, and it becomes resistance. That's where you go short, basically. But Bitcoin is in such a strong uptrend here, and any time it falls down, it's just being massively supported. Okay, so yeah, you've got these two trend lines. This particular trend line here was this large head and shoulders pattern. This one, look. You see, this is the one that we gave you, the left shoulder, the head, the right shoulder, lose support, boom, capitulation. But equally, you know, at that point, you've got this trend line as well, head, shoulder, sorry, let me redraw that, shoulder, look, point of contact, head, look, point of contact, lost support, again, another head and shoulders pattern. So there's a couple of head and shoulders pattern within this sort of rising wedge, which we equally broke out to. They're all negative patterns. There's like three negative patterns in there, reversal patterns basically. You know, there is a chance that you can break up, but to break up you have to break the high. That's what I always tell you. To invalidate the pattern, you have to break the high. Okay, so right now, you know, you've broken above this trend line. You see this trend line, which is a previous level of support just there. Okay, acted as a little bit resistance just there, and what did it do? It came back to this trend line as support, broke this trend line as resistance, come back up, retested it as support, come back up, made the high, fell back to its support, tried to have a go at another high, but in that you've created a level of resistance just there at this falling wedge. Do you see this? It's all patterns in patterns. Okay, pattern recognition, it's really easy. So yeah, you've lost support, you've carried out the correction, you've come down, you've made the low, you found a foundation here of low, and right now you're breaking out of key levels of resistance and trend lines. You've broken out of this one. Okay, you back tested and fell into the EMA as a support, you've broken this trend trend line here, and you've come up and you're now breaking this trend line, this previous level of resistance. Look, you're now turning it support. This is relatively bullish. Now the next trend line that I would like to see broken for Bitcoin is this one, okay, because obviously if you're going to come up now and you're going to come up and break this resistance, you're looking at a new all-time high. Do you see this? So in the future, you know, this particular trend line could come into play here as a key level of resistance moving forward for Bitcoin, because you could do something like this where you come up and you hit it and you come back, and you're going to hit your head on that resistance like that, okay? Just like I said to you, when Bitcoin was coming down here and it was doing this, I said to you, you know, potentially you're looking at some kind of like massive head and shoulders pattern here, you know, and a reversal pattern. This is a left shoulder, this is a head, and this is a potential right shoulder. And when you break that resistance right there, you're looking at retracement, okay? And it's equally a falling wedge, just as this was a rising wedge and a head and shoulders. This is a inverse head and shoulders and a falling wedge. Reversal patterns. So they're all patterns in patterns, okay? So at the minute you have to adhere to what's in front of you, and at the minute Bitcoin is moving forward until you lose support and lose trend lines, i.e., you know, you lose this particular trend line here. That would be quite negative in itself, wouldn't it? And if you do start to lose this green one and fall back into this pattern, this is where you can see the continuation of the downside. But at the minute you're adhering to structural support, you're holding support, so you're looking at continuation at the minute until that support is lost. You know, you're looking at continuation. Now, you know, just here, there is a potential here that you could form a little baby head and shoulders just here on this trend line. Do you see this? So again, okay, you've come up right here and you've made a little left shoulder and you've made another high where you rolled down to a key level support just here on this trend line. Look, your points of contact. And right here, if you fail to break this high just here at 48k, this way you could roll and create a little right shoulder, and at that point, if you lose the support of this trend line, this is where you carry out correction, okay, and come back down. And your correction would be just here, okay. Let me explain this from there to there to your neckline. So you could see a little correction down wherever you lose support along this trend line if you fail to break this high, okay. So if you fail to break this high at 48,226 that it's created for itself, you'll invalidate this little head and shoulders pattern that's potentially forming right now, okay. Break that high. That's all you got to do, because if you don't, you're going to roll back and potentially lose the EMAs on the daily time frame, okay, and potentially come back down and retest this trend line of support once more. And like I said to you, if you do start to do that, you start to roll here for Bitcoin and you start to fall back below this trend line, you're falling back into this falling wedge, okay, and potentially coming lower in this market for Bitcoin. But don't anticipate that, because you are holding support. You're picking up relatively well across the board. Things are making new all-time highs. So crypto is currently bullish. There's one thing that's a bit off-putting though, and it is the DXY. Okay, the DXY is pumping. It's breaking out of levels of resistance. There are a couple of negative patterns in the DXY that could potentially see it hit resistance and fall. You've got the monthly death cross that it's in on the 20 and the 55. You know, and that could contribute to the big factor that it is in a downtrend, basically. Like I said to you, if the DXY falls, Bitcoin pumps, and if the DXY pumps, Bitcoin falls. And it's always been like that. It's inversely correlated at the minute. Until it can break out that inverse correlation, it is what it is. So yeah, so at the minute, Bitcoin's had a lovely little pump, and it's invalidated that technical targets to the downside. I'm going to show you that. But these are trend lines moving forward that you can see. We're breaking out of this resistance, okay, previous resistance there, back testing held support. We are now holding it as support. So this is a lovely little trend line to keep an eye on, which was a large inverse, a large head and shoulders pattern that played out for us, and we had that whopping short down there, didn't we, in the channel? So that was amazing. So yeah, we turn it in support, which is good. You know, you look at previous levels of resistance and trend lines turning in support, it's good for continuation. This is what I always say to you: hold support of previous resistance, it equals continuation. And that's exactly what Bitcoin's doing. You've fallen into the 20 EMA on the daily as well. In a buy and go to the beach signal from CoinsKid just there. Created that, fell back into it, come back up, fell back into it. You know, if you can keep doing things like that, you're in an uptrend, my friend. Especially on the daily, you're above the yellow line on the 20 there, boom, you're in an uptrend. And there's no other way to put it, okay? So right now I'm just going to look at the hourly time frame on Bitcoin and see if we can see anything, okay? So with Bitcoin on the hourly time frame, and you can see it's so bullish that it's not even met the target of the double M top pattern here. Look, where you rolled over, or the descending triangle. Look, if it's a descending triangle from there to there, and you lost support just here, Look, you see, you didn't even meet that target, so it's really, really strong. You're not meeting any targets to the downside here for Bitcoin. When you're rolling over, you've got the ascending triangle which you're in as well. You know, the blue line which you didn't even meet as well. So at the minute, get rid of these. At the minute, just take them out of the game, okay? Because they're not being met. Any technical breakdown targets are not being met. And when you topped out here, look, you start to form something called a falling wedge. You see where the green lines are? Just there, you've broken out, and this is your technical target of the falling wedge at the moment, is where you formed the wedge, which is all the way up here, which is currently at 47541. So you can see you've almost come up to it. You actually came from there to there, you a little bit off. You was 1.23% away from that technical target that you are now in, because you've broken out of a falling wedge. You see the green line? Okay, so not only that, okay, for Bitcoin, you are in some kind of parallel channel here where you're coming up in resistance and falling back to support. Look, resistance, support, and a medium line. Do you see that? Resistance, support. You lost this level of the medium line and you come back down in a falling wedge, which is a bullish reversal pattern. You're coming back up to the technical target at the moment. You know, it's bullish, basically. It's nothing but bullish. You're going to retrace and come back to key levels of support looking for continuation, and that's exactly what Bitcoin's doing right now. So the new technical target for Bitcoin at the moment, okay, if you can continue to hold support of these hourly EMAs, because the EMAs are really important. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of this. If you can continue to hold support of the hourly EMAs right here, and you know, backtest and hold support, and it will creep you up and make you break these levels of resistance above, you're looking at a retracement here to this high of this technical falling wedge which you created on the way down. Okay, not only that, you're starting to form a brand new impulsive wave, and as long as you break these key levels of resistance, you are looking at this for Bitcoin. Okay, so from that low to there, because you've fallen down and now you're starting to retrace to the high, you can see that you've already broken out of the 050. Okay, you melted for it, you've broken through the 0618, and you actually run into the 786. So you're looking for support, and right now you're getting that off the 20, because this is your new technical target. This is your new impulsive wave up to the upside here for Bitcoin. Okay, so if you can continue to hold this support, this is where you could see yourself come back up, break this high here, okay, and come back up and shoot up to the 1618, which would bring you back up to this parallel channel that you find yourself in, where again you may roll back to support at some point, but we will see that and target that when it happens. But you could be looking at a 50,883 price tag for Bitcoin, providing you continue to hold support of these EMAs on the hourly like this. Creeps you up, break that high just there at 48106. 48106, yeah, that's the current local high, and you will be looking at a beautiful impulsive wave to the 1618 at $50,883. And from here right now, if you continue to go, you're looking at 8.52% trade for Bitcoin. But I would, you know, not financial advice, I would wait for the break of this high, because this has been such hard resistance to get through, you know, that we've had to retreat to build up the strength and power to get through it. So if you break this high at 48106 and you make this new local high, breaking this one here, you are looking at a 5.76% trade here for Bitcoin. Okay, so yeah, it's looking good. You're broken up, you got a little bit overextended. The gap in the EMAs, this is why you're drawn back to its support. You're above the golden ratio, you're above the 050, which is, you know, once you break those levels of resistance, you are primarily, it's a confirmation bias that you are going to break up and come to the impulsive wave up there at the 1618. So it's all good so far, but we have got levels of resistance above us that we do need to see broken, and then obviously backtest and held as support. Okay, so far so good. Take care everyone. We're back to one other update on Bitcoin. Stay healthy, stay strong, stay tuned. But like I said to you, you know, these technical breakdown targets are not being met for Bitcoin. I don't think any single breakdown target up here has been met, other than we had this falling wedge. No, we had a rising wedge just here, didn't we? We had a rising wedge just here, actually. I remember this trade. Because it created a falling wedge. I think it was this just here, and it came down, it created this beautiful falling wedge, and that didn't even make the technical target of the rising wedge. So no technical targets to the downside are actually being met for Bitcoin at the minute, which shows strength with the bulls. Okay, take care everyone. Back tomorrow with another update on Bitcoin. Stay healthy, stay strong, stay tuned. Bye bye.